Welcome, everybody, to the Reality Check. So, this week's exciting episode, or July 17th, we're definitely going to be talking about Freeloaders, World Cup review, obviously Lisa Page, Russia, and how come they're not in jail yet? It's a good topic. Hold down a minute. Let me go over here and grab something. Nothing like craziness during the show. Got to make sure my cell phone's off. I know I'm not popular. I don't get calls, but it'll be the day that I get a call, right? So, all right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. Let's rev this up. We're already 2 minutes into the show, and I said a whole lot of nothing, but a whole lot of something with a whole lot of words and a whole lot of nothing. Now, so they called it a rising, right? You had the Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez crowd. You know, I mean, it's just another freeloader who wants to freeload off the backs of the productive. You know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? The Democrat socialist who became a rising political star with her victory in the New York congressional primary. Not even a regular, but a primary she won. So, with this chick last month, she referred to Israel occupation of Palestine. I also think that what people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine, is just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition that to me is just where I tend to come from on this issue. So it's just like a whole bunch of babble. So when asked what that really means in a follow-up question, Ocasio-Cortez kind of hesitated in a moment before explaining how Palestinians are experiencing difficulties in access to their housing and homes. Oh, I think what I meant is that the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestine housing and homes, when asked to further clarify the comment, which that's really saying nothing, she acknowledged that she's not familiar with the ins and outs of the ongoing clash in the Middle East. Now, settlements is something you hear a lot. You hear Israel's building settlements. Now, what they're building is apartment complexes. They're apartment complexes. Jewish people can live there. And Palestinian peoples actually are allowed to live there as well if they pay the rent, of course. And, same opportunities the Jewish people have. So they're building this on Israeli land. And they call them settlements as a insult to Jews, to make it like they're doing something wrong or they're having slave camps. So that's what a lot of people think it is. It's like a slave camp. It is not. They're building apartment complexes on their land, and the problem is these people think all this land belongs to Palestine, which there was no such place back in the day. That's not where Israel got the land. They didn't get the land from Palestine. Sorry. So these people kind of call it settlements, like they're building something on land that doesn't belong to them. But the land does belong to them, and that's pretty much it. And they actually live in peace with a lot of Palestinians live in Israel. The news doesn't tell you that because it doesn't sound very good. Israel doesn't hate Palestinians, but there are a bunch of Palestinians that hate Israel. And a lot of them are kind of like this chick and Bernie Sanders, freeloaders who get paid by the terrorists, give them the food stamps and the schooling they pay for that so they could stay there, and then terrorists, do what they want to, and they're just basically, so these people are grifters who don't want to make a life on their own, live productive, like a lot of Palestinians who do live productive. They're grifters, and they let terrorists stay in their land so they could grift off of them. So anyway, back to this clown, Alexandria, this tool, she's just a tool. She happened to say, now that was one interview. So now, nobody knew much about her. She was definitely a Bernie supporter back in the day. She helped run part of this campaign. And this tool actually said that the unemployment rate under Trump is only low because everybody has 2 jobs. Now, firstly, where do you begin on such a stupid statement? There's many places. So the unemployment rate, it's calculated by taking the number of unemployed people dividing by the number of people in the labor force. So the number of jobs being worked by Americans has no bearing on these numbers. So if I have 4 jobs or 1 job, it's really irrelevant to the unemployment number. So one of the key economic things in America to tell whether we're doing good or bad is the unemployment rate. Not saying it's a perfect thing, not saying, because it doesn't mean much, because you can actually lower the jobs available and have people not looking for jobs at all because they fall off and they're not counted, like Obama had, and then your unemployment rate doesn't seem high even though there's less jobs than ever before. So to me, an important thing is the number of jobs. But regardless of that, no matter how many jobs you work, it doesn't affect that number. So first, she was saying that most people, besides her cluelessness and stupidity, should most people have 2 jobs. Now, research shows that only about 5% of the workforce has 2 jobs. So Alexandria needs to go back to school or read a newspaper. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez continued and said, unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, and 80 hours a week and can barely feed their kids. Again, the number of overtime hours Americans work has no impact on the unemployment rate. And because they can barely feed their kids, that really has no impact on the unemployment rate. So she doesn't even know what she's talking about. At least you want to make a point about people need to work more and the jobs aren't good. That's the one thing. But to say that has to do with the unemployment rate shows you have no clue what you're talking about. So, of course, then after she made a fool out of herself, and I'm sure she could tell by the interviewer, like asking for clarity or following up, and the look on their face, even the most, unobjective interviewers are still going to be like, please, you're embarrassing us. We want to lie for you, but we can't. So here she goes on with the, let's blame the profit seeking. The profit seekers hold no holds barred capitalism for the conditions in which people struggle to feed their kids. Now, there it is. We have to blame capitalism. Funny. Now, I got to say, America was founded on the idea that human beings are born with natural rights, and such as the rights to life, liberty, and property. A person holds this view of rights, makes no demands on others except they respect their rights. So can we help people in need? Yes, with limitations as a whole. The government can help, while, people still have the freedom to help who and how much they want. Many Americans talk about the right to college education, medical care, cell phones, internet, birth control, Viagra, and even abortion. They're not rights, they're entitlements. And the person who holds this view of rights is making claims on other people's money and resources. This understanding of rights not only sets citizens against each other, but it undermines the whole idea of natural rights and freedom. America rose from its infancy to the powerhouse it is, learning from the mistakes of not only England, the early settlers who tried to run the community on everyone get an equal share of the fruits of labor. And what, those early settlers learned, they quickly learned that some are dishonest and reap rewards with no labor put in. So we moved on to a society where most have a chance to move up with hard work, luck, or even, a bit of both. That's why, people thank God they were born in America. And that's why we have so much freedom in the things we do. So freeloaders like Alexandria, Ocasio-Cortez, and Bernie Sanders, among others, should actually get a clue and learn that. Because you should at least be somewhat educated if you're going to run for political office. Not like you might not use that education, but you should be, So, World Cup, right? Let's review. Now it's finally over. We know France beat Croatia 4-2. So France first, Croatia second, and Belgium beat England in the ever most important third place game. It's kind of cool to see one more game, but it's kind of, it's got to be pretty upsetting for those teams. So Belgium won that game, so Belgium finished third. So you got France, Croatia, Belgium, and England 4. What did we learn or what did we see? Bunch of great games, some epic moments, some epic fails, like Caballero. We had the early exits of Germany. the defending champs, Spain, Argentina. Argentina looks horrible. The Neymar, right? Can you do the Neymar? Can you be walking in the street, grab your leg like you got shot, and wave it on the ground like you just don't care? The Neymar. Everyone's doing it. We'll probably have a soccer drill for that in practice this year. So, the VAR, the video assistant ref, big part, obviously, in the World Cup. Here it was. You have 11 penalty kicks from the VAR. Huge. I mean, huge swings in games, huge turns, things that wouldn't have happened before. We had Ronaldo's first game, right? The 3 goals, the performance that he had there, the free kick, stating he's the man of the big 3. And, of course, obviously, his team, Portugal, didn't go far. But during the tournament, you learn that he's not going to be with Real Madrid. He's going to be with Juventus. So moving teams, moving countries for him. You had Luka Modric from Croatia, Golden Ball. So he was named best player. I mean, he had definitely some key moments. Croatia went farther than most people expected. Croatia, I mean, he had a bunch of good penalty kicks, extra time, and extra time to help them advance in shootouts. He had the best young player, Kylian Mbappe. So Mbappe, 19 years old, he scored, I think, like 4 goals. I mean, unbelievable speed, passes. I mean, he'll be a big threat for years to come. You had the Golden Boot, which is for the most goals, which was 6. Not super exciting as other years. Harry Kane from England scored 6 goals, 3 of them on penalty shots. I mean, most effective. He's still young. I think he's about 24, so he'll definitely be back, and maybe he can expand on that. And then you had, I don't know, is it Thibaut Courtois? He was the Gold Glove, which was the best goalie in the tournament. I agree. It was from Belgium. He definitely kept Belgium in a lot of games and had a lot of big save and pressure moments and shootouts. So really, really good. Nothing I'd argue with on any of those awards. I mean, like I said, there were memorable moments in the World Cup. I mean, wow, France is a really young team, and for them to win it is pretty tremendous for them. They'll definitely be back and should be a force to be reckoned with. So, so France is looking good. I mean, Croatia, who knows if they'll have a performance like this again, but they, made the most of what they had. Really good teamwork on their team. And Belgium, they had a pretty good, strong showing too. England, I mean, things you realize from the U.S. perspective, the U.S. team is just pretty bad. I mean, we couldn't beat Panama, and Panama was like, they didn't even compete in this World Cup. I mean, they were there, but they really didn't compete. And that just shows you how much worse we are from the rest of the world in soccer. And I think it's, the top athletes, I don't buy that. There are tons of great athletes that play soccer. I mean, I think a lot of it is just poor coaching. I mean, I look around. I mean, I guess I'm biased because I coach soccer, but I see people constantly with the small, tiny nets, and just that's not the way to get people to shoot. What the U.S. is lacking the most, we've had good goaltenders, we've had good defense, we've had decent midfield, but there is nobody that comes to mind in the U.S. as far as that's a goal scorer. That's the guy that's going to put the ball in the net. You hear names sometimes, but they never amount to any. You never get a guy that's, this American guy has a shot at a Golden Boot in a World Cup or can dominate, like a Ronaldo, like, Mbappe, even coming up. You don't have anybody in the U.S. like that. You don't have a massive goal scorer like the Harry Kane. You don't have like a guy in the U.S. like, that's just in that scoring league. And that's what we're missing. We don't have that player, the Messis and stuff. And I know they don't, obviously, they are above everybody else. That's why we look at them as greats and stuff. But these countries continually get them. Argentina's had Maradona. They have people. And, Brazil with Neymar now, with Pele before, they've had those players multiple times, and we have not, ever. And I think that's it. I mean, it's just about scoring, getting scorers, training them the proper way, playing aggressive soccer. especially now with the VAR, which changes the game and creates a lot of opportunities. The way that I coach soccer, I coach my team to be aggressive and always attacking. I don't like the laid back style. I think it's just you have to play so perfect to win, and it takes you out a lot of games because you don't know how to adapt. If you're a team that plays defense all the time and you get down quickly by a goal or two by bad breaks or something, then it's so hard to come back. You almost don't know what to do. Whereas if you're an aggressive team and you get a big lead and stuff, you can still be aggressive. And it's time where you're trying to secure a lead late. It's easy to throw more people back and get people in that mode. It's not as hard to adjust. So, that's my thoughts on that. And that's the World Cup in a nutshell. Like I said, good soccer. It's a shame. 4 more years, right? And then we get to the next one. So this week, the big things, of course, we had Strzok and Page is now testifying, and Strzok looked like a demon when he was testifying. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Just kind of week in review stuff. I think a new slogan for the Democrats should be a pot for every abortion and for every abortion pot, because that seems like what they want to go on. Remember, Stormy Daniels got arrested. Her charges were dropped because she illegally was rubbing undercover police officers' faces against her bare breasts during a performance in an Ohio strip club. Now, so you can't do that if you're somebody who lives in Ohio, but I guess if you don't live in Ohio and you just come there to perform, you're allowed to do that. So now the real question I have is, so she didn't illegally rub, because it was legal for her to do that because she didn't live in Ohio. So let's get that straight. So she rubbed undercover police officers' faces with her bare breasts during a performance at an Ohio strip club. Okay, so that's what we got. So think about it. Like, what kind of police work is that? You sit there and, what, did I miss something? I don't know. Is that police work? I don't understand. You would think if they had undercovers, maybe they sit in the back and do whatever. I don't know, eat food, pretend whatever. Nobody minds them. Nobody's going to care in the most part. But now they're sitting up there getting their faces rubbed. Kind of weird police work. I don't know. We had, the clown Steve Cohen insulted everybody last week when Strzok was testifying, and he said he wanted to give him a Purple Heart. I mean, firstly, the guy was testifying. Whether you agree he did something wrong or you don't about Strzok, he was testifying because of his own stupidity, and to say he deserves a Purple Heart is just, it's embarrassing to America. It's just embarrassing. So we know that Clinton's emails were copied to foreign entities. Don't listen to this. It was just Russia, blah, blah. So we had 12 indictments. It was 13 nationals indicted for hacking. It's interesting that the FBI never secured those servers to actually do the investigation. So how do they know they were hacked? And I mean, the DNC server, was it hacked or was it a phishing email? There's a difference. Podesta supposedly got an email and typed in his password on that. That's a phishing scam. Hacking is when someone actually breaks in their computer and steals information off of it. Obviously, they don't break in their computer physically. It's obviously through online, whatever, they can put stuff in there. But so how did they know that a server they never saw and got to inspect, how do they know that they hacked it? How do they know who hacked it? And then it was only Russians, or maybe it was more people. Maybe it wasn't Russians and it was somebody else. I mean, this indictment by Mueller is just worthless. He knows these people aren't showing up. That's funny because Putin actually invited him to come there and do the investigation, which will turn that down. But Mueller is indicting people he knows are never going to show up. And everybody that's shown up for any charges that Mueller's put out there, because we're talking about, oh, I can indict a ham sandwich. It doesn't mean it did anything wrong. I can indict anybody when I have the power. If you're in his position, I'm saying. You can indict your own mother. You can indict your neighbor. It doesn't mean they did anything wrong. Let's see the evidence. I mean, look at the Flynn case. It's already been found out he's been lying, so a judge already had to write him a new one. They've postponed sentencing on that constantly because they know they're in the bad there. The Manafort case, which was a crime that was 10 years ago, and yeah, if Manafort's guilty, absolutely put him in jail. No problem with that. But the Manafort case is interesting because they refused to prosecute it before. So if they knew this guy was guilty enough, why wouldn't they prosecute him before? And then if people in Washington knew that, why would they let him work on a campaign? Obviously, Trump wouldn't have known about that, but these people would have. So obviously, they don't care about securing the country. That was just a good end. Now, the Manafort case, as you know, has nothing to do with the campaign, and it's not even that strong because you see now that Mueller can't go to trial as is. He's actually requested that 5 people get full immunity. So if you're giving 5 people full immunity, 1, they're going to say whatever you want them to say. But 2, it means you don't have the goods. Why would you need to offer those people immunity unless you need something stronger than what they said? Because if they're saying enough, if they're giving you enough to even get a better deal, you should have enough to get Manafort. The fact that you have to offer full immunity means your case is really weak. I mean, I'm sorry, because why are you offering them immunity? If they commit crimes, why aren't they going to jail? Think about it. And then, the first set of indictments he had against these Russian companies or trolls on Facebook, the only one that's challenged it, he made every excuse why he couldn't show them evidence. So, I mean, if this guy was like your local prosecuting attorney and he had this many problems with cases, they'd fire him, He'd be fired. Oh, I can't show you the parking ticket. Oh, I can't this and that. Oh, the officer can't come testify. Oh, we're going to have to postpone this again. We'll have to postpone this again. Hey, let's offer half the town immunity if they testify. I mean, this guy would be fired. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I'm not going to say it's not because I'm not going to say he's a bad prosecutor, like he doesn't know what he's doing. I think he does know what he's doing. What he's doing is he doesn't have anything, so he wants to save face, and he's just making minimum charges that look like a lot, and then when he gets called on them, it's like, now what am I going to do? So, he has to make excuses and whatnot because he doesn't want to show nothing, because that's what they've shown time and time again, nothing, but whatever. Hey. So here's our question of the week to ponder, okay? We have many questions, but here's one to ponder. So if a pregnant woman smokes or drinks during her pregnancy, society often says that she's a degenerate, scumbag, loser, So now if a pregnant woman straight up kills her baby with an abortion, society says she's brave. I don't know. Seems kind of weird and wrong to me. Okay, so now, what else we have here? How about, God, I don't remember the lady's name. Remember the big, I don't mean by size-wise, but the big meltdown in Puerto Rico, right? The mayor, who was saying how bad it was, blamed Donald Trump. It's his fault. When it was a Hurricane Maria hit the island of Puerto Rico back in October, the government sent emergency workers, supplies, billions of dollars to a territory that wasn't even super friendly to us. And everything was blame Trump, attack him. And remember that it was a Yulin cruise. She wore a nasty t-shirt, and all it was her doing photo ops instead of actually going out and helping people. When aid was sitting there, she was just taking pictures in front of it. Trump should be responsible. You're dying and it's Trump's fault. Trump's killing all of us. Yada, 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 yada. So, she said inefficiency, right? Bureaucracy. That's why Puerto Rico was being held up. And now, Puerto Rican mayor and 2 additional island officials are charged with corruption. So these crimes go back before the hurricane, but obviously you see the corruption. These people were accused of stealing nearly $5 million worth of federal funds to pay town employees and municipal contractors. $5 million. Illegal and immoral. At the center of the scheme, Miguel Ortiz Velez, who was mayor, Democrat Party. And guess who else belongs to that same group? Eulin Cruz, person blaming Trump for hurricane deaths, while her own party was defrauding taxpayers and laundering aid money. Are we shocked? Are we surprised? No. And I bet there'll probably be more arrests to come. Because they'll be singing like canaries. What else do we get with that, right? Puerto Rico. There was a funny one today. Some Dems want Trump's interpreter to testify before Congress. I don't know if they're that stupid to waste people's time and money, or they just want to harass everybody who works for Trump, so eventually nobody will want to work for Trump. Because, you're bugging an interpreter? Seriously? I don't know. But that's what you get here with these clowns. Too much right? We had Obama was on the news babbling about politics, the meanness of it, and when you got caught lying, and normally you admitted it. That's funny because Obama never admitted it, and he got caught lying a lot. Sometimes you would think that Obama didn't know there was a camera in front of him because he said stuff, and then a few years later, it would happen. When you're in charge, he says all this, and you're being held accountable, and then when he's in charge, there was no accountability. Portland. President Trump's neck being slit. More art. What else can you say? I think it's just today. Not allowed to do it? No. Freedom of speech, but it just shows you how classless. I think it's good. It's good if your neighbors that were degenerates would put a sign in front of the door saying, I'm a degenerate. That would be good, That would help you out, then you know which people to avoid. So kind of when people are doing that, they're kind of telling you, and that's good. It makes it easier for you to, weed out people that are just, filthy pigs. Seriously. You know how it goes. Just like that video, what the New York Times had of Putin and Trump touching each other and having a love affair. Now, hey, that's their business. They want to put that out, whichever, nothing wrong with that. But that's interesting. Now, if somebody made a video with Barack Obama, Bathhouse Barry with one of his boys, people would have went ballistic. What are you saying? What are you saying? It would be anti-gay. It would be, a crime against the president, yada, yada. They need to be arrested. Everybody needs to be fired. And I haven't heard a word about it. I haven't heard a word about how insulting it is and whatnot. And somebody needs to be fired. Not saying that anybody does. I'm just saying, if that's what you want to put out, that's what you want to put out. Hey, it's up to you. John Brennan, of course, calling Trump treasonous. What else is new? This guy, I think he's like the low class employee that you have that steals from you. And he is not the cool cat. Some people steal from you looking in the face. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what you're talking about. And even if you're right there closing them, you have a videotape, they'll still deny everything. I don't know. That doesn't look like I'm taking anything. But Brendan's the type that he stole something, and he's got that guilty complex. And it's not like he gives up himself. He'll throw everybody else under the bus. So it's like somebody took $5. He knows he did it because he's the one. And they're like, this person, they took it, that person, that person, that person. It was their mother, it was their friend, it was their cousin. And he's just going on and on and on about how everybody else is doing something else when it's him. All he is just trying to pass the buck, pass the blame. Because you can tell, even if you think these things, like if Trump's no good, you think he's stupid, you don't agree with anything he does, you normally say that, but you could tell how worked up he gets and how vicious his attacks are for nothing. It's like, Trump has gas in the White House, that's it, he's done, he's a traitor, it's Russian gas, and he can't control himself because he knows he's guilty. He knows he's guilty. We know he had a hand in it. The people know. Whether it comes out now, whether it comes out next month, you'll know. And I just hope the videos get played again and he can get hanged for his crimes against America should result in him getting hanged because he is a traitor. We know about his past. Look up and do the research on this guy. This guy is an enemy of America. And the fact that you want to be an enemy of America, not like America, that's one thing. But then when you're the enemy within, and then when you're attacking out and blaming other people for stuff you've done, yeah, it just shows, just what a nasty person he is. And he should pay for his crimes because he's all about people paying for their crimes, right? So he should pay with his crimes. Russian hacking. So like I said, there were 13 people indicted. I mean, I think, did they issue a list of names? Or, I mean, I think I got a list of names, like Hillary Clintonesky, Baracksky, Obamovic, Sally Yateskick, John Brenovansky, Valeric Jaredkick, James Komisky, Peter Stroksky, Bruce Orkoff, and McKenzie. Those are some of them, right? Maybe there's a few more. Did I miss anybody? Like Susan Reiskovic and Lisa Page and John Podestskaya. Now, John Podesta. We all know him. Hillary's friend. And, I mean, just left his own company quickly there because we knew something was wrong. This guy needs to face justice under the law. I know Mueller's going to try to give this guy some immunity deal. He needs to go to jail. Podesta is a sick individual from top to bottom. And one day, hopefully, it all comes out how sick he is. But, yeah, ridiculous. Now, let's see. What else do we have? We still have no answers from the IG hearings on those 302 information forms that were edited to not prosecute/prosecute Hillary. So it should have been a prosecution. They were edited. No information on that. In other news, being that we had the indictments on the Russians who got the emails, they forgot Seth Rich's name, and I didn't know he was a Russian. Yeah, I'm supposed to not say right? Now, yeah, that's right, I'm not supposed to say that. So, Rosenstein, they're talking about him. Is he getting impeached? Is he not getting impeached? Yeah, he's horrible at his job. It's almost, I don't know. I think you give these guys a few more months, him and Mueller, and then you get rid of them, and then you get them investigated. Because they're both just enemies of America. Sorry, but, it really is. It's really enemies of America. Yeah, I said them again. Well, it's a bad habit. A bad habit of mine today. I don't know. So, they were saying some data from, we heard, the big thing a few weeks ago, before this whole Russian thing was, the Russian thing resurfacing, because obviously Trump was meeting Putin. It was about the kids, the lost kids. You don't hear much about it. And every once in a while you hear, why aren't all the kids back there, As some of the research has shown, 1 in 5 of the alleged parents who came illegally with kids are found to be unfit to be reunited with their children. Wanted for murder, child's cruelty and narcotics convictions, wanted for human trafficking, DUI convictions, not saying that's but it's mixed in with the other stuff. Outstanding criminal warrants. I mean, I don't know. You want these kids to be given back to these people? Yeah. So, as in Benghazi, you remember the stand-down order was given. Instead of trying to send help, maybe send a plane over that, even if it had nothing to shoot, would buzz over and scare some of these terrorists like cockroaches. Susan Rice was the one who issued a stand-down order to the National Security Council officials when they were supposed to respond to Russian meddling in the presidential election. Now, the officials were alarmed that there were Russian attempts to meddle in the elections, which included supposed hacking and getting those emails. And the officials that were responsible for watching Russia, that they had multiple plans to strike some fear, to do something back to Putin, to end the meddling that was supposedly they were trying to do. And this always happens. They don't make it like it's a surprise. Russia's always trying to mess around with us, and so is China. I mean, it's amazing how you haven't heard much about China, but they're always trying to do it. So they wanted to do things like releasing information about Putin, corruption and other stuff, to hit him with stuff, and maybe do some cybersecurity stuff, to threaten Russia, to tell them to pretty much back off. And when it was found out that they were going to do this stuff, Susan Rice actually went on the attack and told the people that were responsible for this that were going to do this to counteract what Russia was doing. She told them to stop. She demanded that they cease and desist from working on cyber options they were developing. And said, don't get ahead of us. So the White House wasn't prepared to endorse any of these ideas. So they were told, stand down, knock it off, stand down, a common thing in the Obama administrations. And then, of course, the Obama officials, right, they came out later and said, well, we sort of choked in response to the Russian meddling. So, supposedly Obama warned Putin face-to-face. Obviously, that didn't do anything to knock it off, or there'd be consequences, which there were no consequences. He didn't knock it off. And I think now they use this as, Russian meddling, when they knew all along this was going to happen. So you had the 3 stand-down orders in Benghazi. And, enough was enough. We still don't have this server. We don't have the arrests. America's paying for this out-of-control investigation that was based on nothing and still is to this day. How long are they going to let this go on? I don't know. But they're using everything they can to, get really nowhere, to be honest. So, like I said, so again, gosh. So about, what's that, Peter Strzok guy, right? His father supported the Shah of Iran. And some people think that because it was Peter Strzok, that maybe this guy is an Iranian plant, Strzok. I don't know. It's out there. he did participate in some U.S. negotiations and plans of action with Iran, I should say. So who knows? But very interesting, you know. I don't know if any of that could be true or false, but you got the stuff on Peter Strzok there. I know he's definitely not a American at heart. It's what he wants, and who knows. But another interesting thing about the individuals that were indicted as part of this investigation, they're always like, it looks bad on Trump. But all these people being indicted were for crimes when actually Obama was the president. And Obama knew about some of the stuff, the DOJ, the FBI, and they did nothing at all to stop any of this. Why? They didn't care what was happening to America because they figured Hillary would win, and what difference does it make? I don't know. But again, we have to ask ourselves that same question over and over again. You know, how did Mueller arrive at an honest conclusion that it was 12 Russians when you had the whole Debbie Wasserwoman Schultz and her IT guy who mysteriously got let go last week, right? No harm, no foul, even though he was stealing equipment, had people's passcodes, but yet he did nothing with them. He just had all this stuff somehow. I don't know. But you know, like some of these people with CrowdStrike, which is a company that was hired to have control of that server and then destroyed that server before anybody in the government can see it. Some of those guys actually worked for the government at one time, like Michael Sussman. He's now the CEO of CrowdStrike, a Mueller buddy, but you know. So now that we're so concerned about the foreign interference in our elections, you know, when will we call for the strict voter ID laws, right? Because we're very concerned about foreign interference in our elections. So if we get some strict voter ID laws, we can stop. And then Peter Strzok, there's the Peter Strzok joke. Haha, Strzok joke, isn't that funny enough? So Peter Strzok's wife threatened to leave him until he explained that not once did he let his affair with Lisa Page affect any specific actions he took in their marriage. Hey, if you get that, if you listen to his testimony, everything he said never affected. Interesting. So Peter Strzok had failed a polygraph test in 2016 and was supposed to have his clearance revoked. So he was a national security risk while investigating Trump, his campaign, and before that. So why did they retain him? And why did he have to run two major espionage probes, the Hillary Clinton and the Trump investigation? So never removed from any of his responsibilities. Even his clearance wasn't, we're not even sure when it was revoked. Was it even revoked when he was testifying? You know, very interesting. This is a guy who's deviant and devious in Strzok, and yet still he had full clearance. He was able to do some of the most important investigations. Yeah. In the not equal treatment column, you always hear every time another place shuts down or refuses to carry Ivanka Trump's clothing, which I don't know, personal judgments, they're never financial decisions. Pretty like, yeah, whatever, it's always their business too. But it's weird how they're holding her so accountable. Like every time the media is always asking her, you know, how she feels about the way her father treats women or this and that. But not once did you ever hear anybody ask Chelsea Clinton about how she feels about the way her father treated women. I mean, very interesting, right? I don't know. Maybe it's a war on Trump and not a war on, I don't know. I mean, Clinton's been pretty bad. And what about how her mom treated women? Hillary Clinton was very nasty. She attacked many women. attack women that were actually victims or her husband, or people that when he hooked up with an intern, she was attacking the intern. I mean, how about talking to your husband about it? And then, of course, with the Russia thing, of course, we always have how Trump did this and Trump did that. But all we have really in the videotape is the videotape of Obama talking about how he'll be more flexible after the election. Please tell Vlad. That was collusion and corruption. Nobody seemed to care. Or you had Hillary Clinton, who gave Russia, remember the big reset button she gave them? And then a few years later, she sold 20% of our uranium to them. But now we're going to care about Russia, right? We're going to care about the summit. You know. What else is new? And then, I mean, one of the things, too, that was bugging me, like, this week you had, with the summit, you had a bunch of these people saying that Trump shouldn't talk to Putin. And, you know, like the John McShane coming out of the woodwork. You know, everybody, he shouldn't talk to Putin. He shouldn't talk to... Oh, what should he do? Should he start a war? Should he have slapped Putin in the face? We got all these people that are supposedly against war, and they're just warmongers. I mean, we know John McCain's a warmonger. He just wants to bomb anything. I swear. I think he probably has all his money in bombs. And that's it. He wants to bomb everybody. Just bomb this. Send bombs to Syria. Bomb this side of Syria. Bomb that side of Syria. Bomb both sides. Let them bomb each other. That's John McShane. And that's the way these liberal warmongers are, too. They don't like any war, but it was okay when Obama was starting wars. The war is good when it has a D on it. You know, I mean, just no moral compass at all. It's like, my personal beliefs, I don't like war, but sometimes it's necessary. You know, it's better to be on the offensive than the defensive. You give people as many chances as you can, and then there comes a point of, but if you're going to do it, you have to do it right. You can't do it half-ass and set dates, and we're going to get out of the war at this. No, if you're going in, you have to go in. You can't just, I mean, it's not even fair to not only the country, but to the servicemen, to their families to do that. So just, I don't know. You know. Ridiculous. Ridiculous, I say. And no, I should not say, right? I won't say, I'll move on to something else. So, Lisa Page, very interesting. So, she wasn't going to come to her testimony, which was supposed to be in public. And then it came out that she never even knew about it. So somebody was trying to hide that, or was she being dishonest? So she came and actually testified behind closed doors. And it's pretty, we don't know what exactly was said, but some of the things that have come out are pretty interesting. Like, she pretty much verified that the text that between her and Stroke were exactly what they meant. That it was true. Obviously, disliked Trump a lot and whatnot, and you know, not only was it true, but exactly what the text meant, because he heard Stroke saying constantly, "Oh, that wasn't what it meant. Oh, this," and excuse, I was tired. I was texting with my left hand as opposed to my right hand. My thumb hit the, yeah, let's do Trump stuff. You know. Whatnot, but also there was other things like maybe China had something to do with the hacking, maybe China had something to do with the emails, and they know it and they're covering it up. Those were other little tidbits that came out supposedly about Lisa Page's testimony. I'm sure there's way more too. It would be interesting to see that. Correct, right? So we have MGM suing victims of the Las Vegas massacre. It's a rough one. I mean, I understand what they're doing. They're trying to limit their liability. It doesn't look good for them. So I don't know if I would have done it. I would have just tried to do what I can. But it isn't the MGM's fault. I mean, people are blaming them. It's not like they wanted it. You know how much money they lost? Like, who's going to stay in that room, that floor, that hotel? I mean, I'm sure reservations were way down after that. That did not help, you know? It didn't help business. But, you know, just one of those no-win situations. When they have that much money, I think I would have just ate it and let people, you know, try to help them out what they can, work with them unless there would be, you know, when they're going to tell you, yeah, my cat needs counseling because this guy shot up other people, then you got to draw the line there. But, yeah. So now we had, for the past several months, we had the Democrats and the Resist 45 movement, right? On the no evidence assertions that Trump coordinated with Russian intelligence, as we've spoken about, you know, most of the show. Stealing the White House from Hillary Clinton, right? So day after day, we have to listen to this anonymously sourced, another story, allegations of wrongdoing, with no evidence. And then there's a group of people who believe that Seth Rich, the Seth Rich murder investigation may just pretty much put an end to the Russian hacking conspiracy theory. Now, we know that Seth Rich was murdered. Supposedly, it was a robbery, even though they didn't take his most valuable stuff, which was right in front of them. So they're going to go out of their way not only to rob somebody, but to murder them and not take any of the valuable stuff that's sitting right there. Now, according to new reports, again, it's surfacing that Seth Rich supplied tons of emails to WikiLeaks. You know, it's anonymous sources from the FBI within know this, that Rich made contact with WikiLeaks. And he's the one who have over 44,000 emails, 17,000 plus attachments from January of 15 till May of 2016. And he was obviously gunned down in July of 2016. You know, just steps from his home. Now, Seth Rich's computer was supposedly looked at after his murder, and was supposed to show that he made contacts with WikiLeaks. That's funny. So now one of the contacts that supposedly helped him, they're also dead as well. Very interesting story. Hopefully we'll have more to follow up on that. But I mean, it's just a very interesting case, I would say. You know, somebody's blocking this murder investigation. It's really weird, too. And, like, his whole family is kind of against anything coming out about it. It's a strange... I mean, I can understand they have grief, obviously, and stuff, but, you know, they have the robbery theory. You know, it's been a year, and that hasn't panned out. So there were two assailants caught on videotape from a camera that was posted outside a grocery mart. So they shot Rich twice in his back. They didn't take his wallet, his cell phone, his keys, his watch, his necklace, you know, worth thousands of dollars. So now no real leads on the case. It's just a very interesting case. But, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. What do you guys think about it? All we know is he ended up dead. They said it was a robbery and nothing was stolen. So, you know, and you have Julius Julian Assange, who's implied many times that Seth Rich was the person who gave it to him. He's not outright said it, but he's pretty much been there. So who are we going to believe on this? I don't know. But an interesting thing of events. So, I said it again. Haha. Bad is me, right? Man, where's that bad habit sewing come from? Because I don't sew with needle or thread. I don't sew at all. Now, today we had the Trump kind of apology or saying he made an error. I think that was just silly. It makes Trump look silly. You said what you said. Live with it. And I understand. I wouldn't admit to anything. I wouldn't care less what people said. I just put it like this. They've always tried to take our stuff, Russia, and I mean, that's the way it is. Election meddling happens. Obama did it with Israel. He meddled in their election, and nobody seemed to care. Obviously, we should be defending our stuff at all times, but obviously, Trump's not going to full-heartedly agree with all this stuff because, the minute he does say, oh, yeah, they tried to do it, and then they're going to say, see, you colluded with them, or collusion, this and that. It's just a no-win situation with the media. So the media's pretty much forced them to play it to where just say whatever and ignore it because they're never going to cover it fairly. They're never going to say, that had no bearing. All it is he stole the election. Even now, the only election that was stolen was what Hillary Clinton did to Bernie Sanders. She stole the primary from him. And nobody seems to care. That's what's so crazy about this whole thing. I mean, are Bernie voters that much schmendricks that they literally got ripped off of their vote, told to go to hell by a party, and now they're talking about like Hillary got ripped off, supposedly, when the evidence is factual that Bernie got ripped off, that the rig was in, the fix was in, that Hillary Clinton, so everything she's trying to accuse Trump of, she's already done that. She's a veteran at that. Hillary Clinton is the boss at that. So it's strange that nobody seems to like, it's like two different worlds. I don't know. They don't seem to talk about it. When there's no evidence that Trump did anything wrong, and we already know that Hillary Clinton already committed that crime. So it's like a known murderer trying to say somebody else committed a murder with no crime. And people are like, yeah, let's look into it, let's see. But this is already a known murderer. How about we charge them for what they did? Doesn't mean we can't look into this. But this person already should be in jail. I mean, it's crazy. Nobody even talks about it anymore. Hillary Clinton stole an election. She was going to lose to Bernie Sanders. And that's the funniest thing. If I was Trump, I would say this all the time. Bernie Sanders was going to beat me. He would have been the president of the U.S., and because Hillary Clinton stole the election from him, he never got a shot. So if you want to blame somebody about a stolen election, it should be her. That's it. Get everyone pissed off, get them mad, and they would learn that these people were frauds, and to even support Hillary Clinton, it's an absolute joke. She's a disgrace. And many people have been put in jail for less that she did it. So why is she free? Why is she not in jail? Well, that's another week. This is the Reality Check. Thanks for staying tuned, listening, and putting up with my so. Be safe.